All right. Welcome. We just finished our closed session, and we are not much to report coming out of that. We are in the process, as you may know. Superintendent Smith is decided to retire. We are talking a little bit preliminary what we're gonna do going forward. Trying to get a plan of action and maybe set a meeting for a couple of weeks where we can, when the whole board is here. We only have just have a forum tonight at 3. So let's move on to agenda item number 4. We have any correspondence?
Yeah, it's all listed on the agenda and it's online. So,
all right. So we have move on to public comment. Okay. Everybody, the board welcomes comments on matters of district interest. The board will listen to, but cannot engage in discussion or take action on items not listed on the agenda. All public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. And then you'll get Molnir down. Limit of approximately 45 words in written comment. You may not cede any time to another speaker. We ask that other public observers in the room remain respectful, do not interrupt the individual giving public comment, because it is a time for the board to listen, and it is very difficult to do so when there are other multiple individuals speaking at that time. As board president, I will maintain the order of this meeting and may issue warnings or removal of disruptive individuals. Call to speak. Please state your name, and I will let you know when your 3 minutes begin. Again, remember to be respectful and courteous of all our fellow Cayucos. Thank you. We'll start with Ron Wilson. 3 minutes, Ron.
I won't start it. I'm timer tonight, Ron.
Thank you very much.
I'll give you an extra 10 seconds.
would you turn the mic on, please, so everyone at home can hear? Thank you. Just the button in the center. Right on the top. With uh-oh. Is there a mic up there with no battery?
This one here.
I'm pressing a button underneath.
No, you want to trade this one?
Here, can you, maybe that is without a battery, I don't know.
I got a minute and a half left.
I'm responsible for the technical problem. Anyway, I wanted to speak on the issue, and you guys obviously just came out of a meeting on it about the superintendent search. I don't think any of you have done a search yet. I did 4 of them, so I kind of know what the pattern is here. We will be very late in the process. This thing needs to move at lightning speed because just to give you an example, here's a posting for a superintendent at Bret Harte Union High. They posted December 27th. Their application deadline closed January 27th. And so they'll be interviewing, they'll be vetting those applications that are already in. They'll be reaching out to people for interviews and all that. And they'll be making offers to the best people before we even get out of the gate. And so you talked about having meetings later. This should be a special meeting within the next week or two to say what is the possibility. And the county has done the searches. I'll tell you, we did private people way back when, not a good way to go. The county offers a great service. They can also, if things aren't moving in a way where we know we're not getting the leftovers as our possible superintendent, which I don't think anybody would like to see here, which generally happens if you're late in the process. The county can offer interim superintendent services, and we have done that twice in the past with great success before Scott came, and also before Jim Brusher started. We use those services to get to be on an even keel and make a good, firm choice and be ahead of things, because this is a great district. It's going to attract great candidates if they have the opportunity. But also in this market, people are going to be jumping at a job that looks good early on. They're not going to hang around. So anyway, I'm encouraging you to have a special meeting ASAP to come up with a plan and it would fall to Pete to reach out to the county offices to get the information about, what are the options, and then weighing those options. And then Jim has a lot of experience in this, and getting an idea what would be the best course of action. Of course, it'll be up to you, but never having done this before, I would suggest that this would be, this is a decision we want to have last, like Scott being here for 5 years and not have the general turnover, which is 3 years. The average tenure of a superintendent is 3 years. So when you have somebody stay 5 years, somebody else stayed a year. So you want to make a good choice here. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Ron. Okay, our next speaker is Marlene Mendez.
Oh, good evening, Cayucos School Board and Superintendent Smith. After speaking with Dr. Brusha, it becomes clear that this board has the authority, and we believe obligation, to make an effort to rescind the raised vote voted on for Superintendent Smith at the previous school board meeting. We are asking for this board to rescind their vote for the following reasons. One, an increase in pay is typically merit-based after a formal performance review and before a new contract is offered. The manner in which this raise was presented to both this school board and the school board was, Sir Hughes. Can't say this. Yeah, thank you. Circuitous and personality based. Sure. Yeah. So personality based and not based on a formal performance review signed by board members. This rush process did not justify clearly to the public what the raise would entail, if it was a one-time bonus or on-base salary, and without all public disclosure of funding, questions and concerns answered, and public input heard and acknowledged before the vote occurred. The inability of board members to respond to community questions regarding this issue prior to the vote has created a lack of trust in the board. There was no reason the vote had to be rushed, since Superintendent Smith's contract was not up until 2024. Unless, of course, the board was apprised in advance of the vote of Superintendent's plan to retire. The inappropriateness of the process is what we take exception with. The fact that this process was pushed to happen quickly by Trustee Castillo, Mr. Smith's longtime childhood friend and confidant, reeks of a conflict of interest, lack of transparency, and appearing to be a grift. This final windfall should not have been tied to Superintendent Smith's base salary. Superintendent Smith should not be vested bonus since he announced his retirement immediately after being granted the money, which is coincidentally ironic. This windfall raise affords Superintendent Smith an additional hundreds of thousands of dollars over a 20-year period. He will not be contributing into the retirement system at this level, nor will the state. This takes away from the harms the integrity-based funds in the retirement system and those who are contributing and for whom the state is also contributing, in particular, the teachers. For the sake of time, I would ask that all people please stand who want the vote for the salary raise for Superintendent Smith rescinded, and for this base salary be rescinded to pre-windfall level. I would ask the board to record the number of people standing in support. Please stand. Honey, 21, is that what you got? What was it? Oh, 21, oh, 22, okay. So 22. Thank you.
That's time. Thank you. Next speaker is Daniel Pewitt.
Good evening. So I just wanted to kind of follow up with what Marlene said, because it was just kind of interesting how everything kind of got pushed through. Like, I've never had a contract, get a raise before 2 years contracts due. And then having it come out when we had asked who initiated it, no one seemed to know until I read it in the Tribune that it was Castillo. And sorry, I could see how a buddy of 50 years, like, hey, let's get you a bump before you go. Like, that's what it seems like to me. I don't know, it might not be, but it seems real coincidental. So maybe check it out.
Thank you. Next person is Patty Wagner.
Can you hear me? Okay. I think there's an issue that's come up with Mr. Castillo and his residence where he sleeps at night. I know he was the president of the trustee on the Cayucos School Board, but I think the fact that he does not reside in Cayucos, he should have recused himself from being a trustee on the school board. And given the conflict of interest and lack of impartiality issue, he should have recused himself from instigating and bringing forth a raise for his friend, Superintendent Smith. Given the issue of residence, he falsely represented himself as the president trustee of the Cayucos School Board when pushing for a hefty raise for Superintendent Smith. All these are more reasons why Cayucos School Board should rescind their vote regarding the windfall raise for Superintendent Smith. Additionally, we call for the immediate resignation. Unfortunately, Mr. Castillo is not here tonight, but we request his resignation from the Cayucos School Board. Thank you.
feeder school district from Coast to Morro Bay. And in that effort, I spent hours and hours and hours reading minutes. And so with this new superintendent hire, what a real quick takeaway is when we have a superintendent that represents both districts, which Cayucos isn't really a true district. We are a component district of a unified district, that it doesn't serve our interests. There are a lot of different issues that still have not been resolved back from the 70s, from when we've had shared superintendents. I urge you to go back to the model where we have a principal superintendent. And I also urge the board to look into, in the monies that are saved by having a joint principal superintendent, to look into hiring a mental health professional. And I'm not talking about a school psychologist, because their job is 504 plans and IEPs. But we need someone to come in here and to help our children and our staff deal with all of what's been going on these past couple of years. And I think that is really in the best interest of our community and our students. Thank you.
Okay. We're at 4-2, right? Right, okay. Susan Matthias.
Dear President Schuler and trustees, on January 18th, 2022, I filed a public records request under the California Public Records Act. I asked for wage and contract information for the superintendent, his executive assistant, and other management level employees at Cayucos School. I need this information so I can analyze the total cost of Cayucos' administration compared to other schools. I should not have had to file a public records request, as this information should be already posted on the school's website. It's not like I'm asking to dig up ancient history. In other districts, similar information for these same positions is easily accessible, either on their district websites or on the County Office of Ed's website. In short, it is information that any of us should have an easy time finding, but that's not the way it works here at Cayucos. At the last board meeting, Mr. Giles stated that Mr. Smith did not take a pay increase in 2019. Currently, I have no choice but to take his word for that, as the information doesn't appear. I can find what Mr. Smith earned at Coast Unified that year on Transparent California. No such luck with Cayucos. When I search the county's website for Cayucos salaries, a system error appears. So much for transparency and honest disclosure. In response to my request, I got the email that I have included. In the email, Mr. Smith addressed me as Ms. DeLamas and goes on to quote legal precedent, which might make sense if I wasn't asking for something that is routinely provided by most districts and should already be on the website. Furthermore, how can the public be expected to contribute or even understand what's going on with the superintendent's salary, his contract, his assistant's salary, his assistant's contract, if you make it impossible for us to find the information? By shifting this away from being properly reported to making it a request for public information, you basically delay the public's ability to discuss it for 120 days, which means we're wasting our time. But by then, it is ancient history. I have recently found out that Mr. Smith plans to retire 120 days from February 30th, whatever that means. I hope he can find the time to fill my request before he leaves. By the way, the information I requested should have been easily accessible to the stakeholders before the board voted Mr. Smith an unwarranted pay raise.
And last person for this item, John Curdy.
Good evening. John Curdy, I'm a resident of Cayucos. President Schuler and the members of the board, only three parties, the Coast Unified Board, the Cayucos Elementary Board, and Superintendent Smith truly know what is going on with respect to the pay increase. According to recent press releases, or I should say press articles, it appears people don't either know, been caught in half-truths, or may have unwittingly voted for a raise under false pretenses. In essence, we've seen three articles, three different accounts who is responsible for initiating the raise, but there can only be one true account. In any case, whichever version turns out to being the truth, such actions once again show the board's continued lack of transparency in dealing with its stakeholders, who largely foot the bill by payment of their property taxes. So now we're left with Superintendent Smith giving his notice, 120-day notice. In my opinion, the board should not allow the shared services contract to continue and just expire on June 30th so that he can continue to perform work for Coast during the last 90 days prior to his retirement. When his notice of retirement becomes official, I strongly urge the board to immediately give Coast Unified the requisite 30-day notice to terminate the agreement. Upon giving notice and after the 30-day period has expired, Superintendent Smith reverts back to his contract with Cayucos for the remaining period of his employment.
The reason I'm saying this is I believe it's imperative that Superintendent Smith and the board devote 100% of their time to getting and successfully completing a new superintendent search. Furthermore, to ensure that Superintendent Smith, when he comes back to Cayucos, is only doing Cayucos work, I would ask the board to consider pursuing legal alternatives in consult with district council to ensure that there's no contact between Mr. Smith and Cambria, Coast Union, Coast Unified, with respect to any any matters for Cambria, and then you should be confined to focusing strictly on Cayucos. First and foremost, the board has a responsibility to the citizens of Cayucos, not Mr. Smith, not Coast Unified, it's Cayucos. I believe the termination of the services contract, the shared services contract, is the way to get Mr. Smith focused on doing his job for Cayucos. Now, if the board doesn't want to go with that, they want to keep the shared services contract going, then because I believe Mr. Smith may not be able to continue to provide 50% of his time to Cayucos, and it hurts Cayucos, we need to get additional compensation out of Coast. And we can do that because with him serving as superintendent for Cayucos and not Coast, they're the ones that are out of a superintendent. You got to look out for Cayucos first.
Thank you. Okay. All right, we move on to approval of the minutes. We did have one speaker for that item.
Just say my name or do I just? Yeah.
Carrie, Grant? No, this is for a different item.
So Pete, at the beginning, you said I had to wait for you to
Oh,
give me the 3 minutes. I
Are you
don't
ready?
know if I'm,
hold on.
are you gone? Well, I'm waiting for him to tell me I can. That's what he
You
said.
Ready? Please.
I've spoke before the board numerous times about the minutes and how they needed to have a little bit more substance. And I believe it was November out back that it was agreed to. And you guys have made great strides. However, there's still more work that needs to be done. The current minutes in the very beginning with call to order, open session, for Erica Torres, it says read her correspondence attached. That's not appropriate. Correspondence is not attached to minutes. The minutes are basically a legal document of your meeting. So if somebody like Gretchen is later on doing research and pulls up the minutes from January 12th, they're going to go, wait a minute, where are these attached correspondence? So your board bylaws say that they need to have more information. So just to say see attached isn't really appropriate. Attention to detail. I don't know why there's a question mark between Pete Schuler and my name. That's just sloppy. You know, it says, I said superintendent contract, taking back control, satisfactory behavior, superintendent evaluation. I don't know what satisfactory behavior means because I in no way, shape, or form said that Scott Smith was satisfactory. So that should be corrected. I mean, I don't know what that's implying, but I didn't say that. And I can guarantee you I didn't say that he was satisfactory. Later on in public input on session 4, it's a start in the right direction. However, if you notice the people that have more words attached to there, we're supporting Scott. First of all, I don't think minutes should say supporting Scott, supporting Scott. It should be Mr. Smith or Superintendent Smith. That is way too lax. It's way too uncomfortable. But if you look here, it'll say, for Jeff Held, it said district superintendent. Well, what does that mean? Is he for the superintendent? Is he not for the superintendent? But then it goes on, Nicole Tamayo supporting Scott. Alicia Enns, living in the land of the free, home of the brave, supporting Scott. Emma McLeod, or however you say her name, showed support for Scott. Renee Rapay supporting Scott. So those who supported Scott had it stated in the minutes, but the other people didn't. That's not a balanced reporting of the minutes. Okay. I would like the minutes to continue to be approved. Yes, you're writing names in there, and I appreciate that. But if you look at these minutes, they're very one-sided. They don't say what the person said. Again, I was here at the meeting when you read Jeff Held, district superintendent. What does that mean? Was he supporting or not? Other people were written as supporting, other people are not. So I would request that you please continue to improve. You had started making an improvement, but it's a work in progress. Continue to improve your minutes because they are a lasting record of board meetings. And lastly, this isn't the minutes comment, but if you're only going to communicate with people via Parent Square about a change in venue for the meetings, I encourage you to do something else. I don't get that. I'm not a parent. I don't get Parent Square. I request minutes, at least at the minimum, email us, but those of us that aren't parents wouldn't have known that.
Okay.
Question mark on the first speaker, but it was Roberta Held, so her name should be where the question mark is on the minute. On the minute.
Oh, on the minutes.
On the
Okay.
minute, the
All right.
Draft, there's a question mark on the first speaker before closed session, and it should say Roberta Held.
Okay.
She is the person that addressed.
Well, could we adjust that on last month? And then we can approve, I think we can approve it if we have that adjusted. Is that okay?
And then Helen Tomac didn't speak. She's listed down below, and she didn't speak.
Then I guess we have to, and scratch Helen Tomac, I suppose. That,
If you're going to make changes, why can't you add to what the other people said? I mean, you did do it all or none.
all right, well, let's go with this. We have a movement to motion to approve the minutes as is and move on for the next month, or move on with this month, make it better, or should we do any corrections there?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as they are and to look at improvement.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Trustee Schuler,
Aye.
trustee Barnell. Aye. Trustee Wright.
All right.
Just an emphasis on improvement.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, do we have our speaker here?
Daniel? Stand on the podium?
Yeah, that's great.
Is he coming up?
Yeah, he's coming. He's coming.
All right. All right. Do we have any visual aids or?
No,
Okay.
just like last meeting.
Okay. All right. So our next discussion topic is public hearing about our trustee areas. This is our fourth one. So I think we're comfortable with the three of us voting for that, even though everybody's here. Okay. So Daniel, do you want? Okay. Do you want to sit here or do you want to come up there?
Whatever works best for you.
You can come sit here. We need to have you on a microphone though, so the people at home can hear you.
Okay.
If you come around right through the door here.
Okay.
That's the one. That's the one I was using. That's the one.
Thank you for doing this. Will be a couple minutes after your presentation. There'll be a couple people on the staff.
Sure. Yeah. Are they pronounced with the presentation slides?
Whatever you discussed with Valeria. I don't know what you discussed with her.
Okay. Would you like to introduce?
Sure. So Daniel is here from Demographics Company. He's been helping us set up possible ways to split Cayucos up into 5 trustee areas. So those maps have been posted online. They were previewed at the last meeting. They're still online, and the board is looking to select a map tonight. We're going to have a public hearing, and then later in the agenda, there's an opportunity for the board to vote on a resolution. So Daniel, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Superintendent Smith, and good to be with you, board members. I'm Daniel Phillips, and I'm from National Demographics Corporation. And tonight is the fourth public hearing that is required by state law whenever a jurisdiction is moving from an at-large election system to a by trustee area election system. And so we've had 2 pre-draft hearings back in the summer. And now we are in the last stage of the process where we have hearings where we consider actual draft maps, as well as discuss the election sequence of whichever map is selected. So there's also scheduled to be an adoption hearing tonight at the same meeting where one of the maps will be adopted by resolution. So there are 3 federal laws to be mindful of in this process. One is to have equal population by trustee area. The second is to not dilute the voting strength of any racial or ethnic minority group that would adhere to the Federal Voting Rights Act. And lastly, to not practice what is called racial gerrymandering, where you make race or ethnicity the only or main consideration. There are other traditional principles that may be considered, like respect for communities of interest, drawing areas that are compact, that are contiguous, just one piece each, that follow visible boundaries, that respect voters' choices, and account for any planned future growth. So there have been 3 draft plans presented to the board. They are called the green, orange, and yellow plans. And each of these has been posted on the district website, as well as on an interactive review map. And the main differences between the plans are in how the board is affected by each plan and what effect that has on the election sequence. In the green plan, there are no pairings of incumbent board members. So each incumbent will have the opportunity to run for re-election in his or her own area if he or she wishes to do so. And that is the case under the green plan. Under the orange plan, there would be one area in which there is a pairing of incumbents, Castillo and Guile, and that would be in area 2. But the election sequence would remain the same because both of those trustees, their terms expire in the same year. And so that area would be up for election in 2022. And there would be a vacant area 1, which would also be up for election in 2022. Finally, there is the yellow plan where you would have 2 pairings of incumbents, and that would leave 2 vacant areas as well. And if that plan were to be chosen, there would be 2 possible election sequences to implement. We offer a proposed election sequence where areas 1, 2, and 3 are up in 2022, and areas 4 and 5 are up in 2024. But there's an alternative election sequence as well. So under all these plans, there is a total population deviation under 6%. And anything under 10% is considered equal population. So there's no issue with equal population. And so it really comes down to what plan board members in the public seem to approve of based on the effect on the board, as well as what the areas look like as far as what neighborhoods are better preserved. And so under the orange plan, the downtown area would be preserved in area 1, while under the green plan, it would be split between areas 1 and 3. And the downtown area would also be pretty well preserved in area 1 under the yellow plan as well. So I believe that's all that I had to present, and I'm happy to take any questions from
Well,
the
we're going to
board.
move on to the public hearing, right?
Yep. Okay. So I have
And
2 people who've already put in for it. So John Curdy, John, if you'd like to.
I'll just speak up a little louder. Couple of questions for Daniel. Under the orange plan that members Castile and Guile. They both cannot be reelected, can they? Out of one district?
No.
Okay. So the second place finisher is out. All right. If no one runs in area one will be, a trustee will be appointed for that district. Is that correct?
From that area.
From that area. That was my question.
Has to be from that area.
Okay. My only other comment, and not directed at Daniel, but it just seems like this is a solution in search of a problem. You're gonna divide up the town into 5 districts, 500 people roughly. You're gonna have situations where possibly 150 or 200 people are going to determine who gets elected. And then depending on what plan you pick, you might not get a chance to vote for anybody for a couple of 3 years. It just seems unfortunate that we have to go to this kind of a method. I think it was better, no disrespect to him and anything else. It just needs, I think really the best one, in keeping with what we've done in the past, is just to go with the green plan. Everybody gets a chance to defend themselves. And, you just, any of the divisions. But I just think that the green plan probably makes more sense in terms of continuity for the town. Thank you.
Yeah, we should probably, especially this one. Ron, you want to talk about this one? Okay. You did.
Am I on the clock?
I suppose this is public hearing, so
If it's up to the board president, if he wants to have any of us answer questions or just take public comment.
Yeah, you can engage if you'd like. That's fine. Daniel, speak up whenever you want.
I'm ready. I just want to comment when you guys get to a vote on the actual plans. I want to point out that it appears that you're going to go into closed session in a few minutes after this. Is that what I'm reading there? A closed public hearing? Is that what is happening? 6.2? What does that mean?
Is this the public hearing? So trustee Schuler on 6.2.
It's just opening it and closing it.
Oh, okay.
Public hearing.
Never mind.
With all those.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure we
Okay,
have
yeah.
discussions about this.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Outside of I apologize.
No problem. You have time left. We have, okay,
Well, I asked specifically at the beginning if I needed to turn in a.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine.
I didn't.
This is an open public hearing.
My glasses. I'm Carrie Friend. I spoke at the last meeting as well. I respectfully disagree with Curdy about the green plan, keeping continuity with Cayucos. I don't like the yellow plan. I'm more in favor of the orange plan. Daniel, I'm kind of curious because last month I also went to the Coast meeting and you blew these all up and had them on the board. It was a 2-hour discussion with 4 people. How come we don't have that opportunity here?
There's no screen.
What's that?
There's no screen, but if you want to see the.
Well, no, but you had it for everybody to see. Like I spoke last time about this green plan. What I don't like is area 1 has that finger into the numbered streets. So if you're walking from the beach, you're going to be in area 2, walk down the street halfway, get to area 1, continue on to your neighbors and get area 2. So when I brought that up last month, Susan Brownell came over to me and said, oh, there's a sliver over here too. Well, and if we could see that in the big map like you did for Coast, I just feel like we're getting a not equal experience because you were able to put that up there and see. And if Susan could see that, it's that finger of number one in the green plan is completely different than the orange plan, because that finger in the green plan is in the middle of a district. In the orange plan, it's just on the edge of a district. So I'm not going to walk down my street. Hey neighbor, you're in one. Oops, you're in two. Oh, now I'm back to one. That's what I don't like. And if it's just to preserve the trustees, I don't care about that. You know, to have that little finger in there for the sole reason of allowing trustees to not have any pairing, I think is a poor decision because, you know, I was there for 8 years. Ron was there for history. We're not there anymore. Okay, so to base decisions on where people live, I think is inappropriate because they're not going to be here forever. So I think that the green plan is a poor choice. And I'm extremely disappointed in this board and the fact that if you had gone up to Coast and seen what a beautiful presentation he did, we're getting gypped of that same thing here. He blew it up on a screen. Whether you guys want to meet indoors or outdoors, I don't really care. You can put up a screen. He had his computer hooked up. It was a 2-hour discussion of the different maps and blowing in and out. And if we could blow in and see that, it'd be a lot easier than my 53-year-old eyes looking at this and trying to see it and talking to everybody else trying to see that. I just think it's a disservice.
Okay. We okay to close public hearing on that? We have got to
I have no opinion on the yellow or the orange plan, but in looking at the green plan, it seems very short-sighted to me. Once you vote on these district lines, I assume that this is how it's going to be for a very long time because changing anything is 10 years.
Till the next
So,
census.
Yeah, okay, so we've got this for 10 years. And who knows, we don't even know what the next 4 years are going to look like with the board. And to make a decision based on who is sitting up here and where they live is very short-sighted. And it's not in the best interest of our community.
So I want to say one thing. I don't think any of this is in the best interest of this community at all. I think this is going to hurt this community for the next 10 years, no matter what color we pick. So I'll just put that on the record. This was meant for a much larger district.
Oh, I'm not arguing with that.
I'm not even commenting directly to you. I'm commenting to the public.
Okay. All right. So we'll close that. We need to vote on that first?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Nope. It appears later in the agenda.
That's right. Okay. I have myself. Okay. So we'll move on to presentations. Associated Student Body.
Quite a few things going on at school. We're ramping up some fun things on this Friday. Haven't said Valentine's Day. We have a President's Day off. So on Friday is Kindness Day wearing pink.
Can this stop for a second while this other talking? I know it's kind of distracting.
Do the trustees have other questions for Daniel or can we release him to leave? Are you going to have questions during the resolution part to pick a map? Or
I thought we were voting tonight.
You are voting tonight, but before you vote, are you going to want to ask him more questions? Should I ask him to stay?
I don't have any, Daniel. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work.
Okay.
Yeah, I was waiting till 10:02
Okay.
to make my other point and with Daniel being here, because I just assumed he would be here.
All right. Well, in light of that, if you're waiting for 10-2, that's,
Right.
we haven't gotten too far into the presentations.
That's what the public hearing's for.
Okay, so we're gonna go back to 6.1. Liz, can you hold for a second on this? All right. You ready? Okay.
You ready?
Nope.
Go ahead.
Yeah, jump ahead of her.
No, I just was going to wait till 10:02, but since Daniel was going to leave, and I think it's important to address him in part. And with all due respect, Daniel, the first thing you said was the Green keeps these current board members, all the incumbents, with their own areas. And John had a different opinion than I do. That isn't even a consideration. You know, it's what we're picking, or you're picking, is 10 years of representation for these different parts of the community. And Susan, it's by law. It doesn't make any sense. But
I wanted to make my comment, Ron.
Yeah. No, I was just agreeing with you. It doesn't make any sense. But it's, again, it's not at all a valid reason. And that you mentioned it as the first thing tells me that this whole thing is skewed. You know, if the first thing you bring up, hey, this is the great one to choose because everybody gets to keep their seats and not run against each other, you know, that's not even a consideration. And that it's brought up first is disturbing. And as it comes to the maps, again, the main thing I see is that it's called gerrymandering when you have one part of a community, of a map, extend into part of a community. It's like it borders two streets and it goes right down the middle. So anyway, that's my comment on the map. But on the general process, you know, that it seems to be keyed on, there's a whole map here that's just based on that, is wrong.
One more.
Daniel is able to answer a question or provide a opinion. In your opinion, what map does it seem to keep the town, you know, neighborhoods most together?
So I don't know Cayucos as well as all of you do. I did try to base my map drawing based on general plan, land use, zoning, et cetera. And I would say that the orange plan does a better job keeping the downtown commercial area intact. And I would say under the yellow plan, you get more of that neighborhood in the southeast together. And the nature of this is there's trade-offs with each, but I would say that you probably have more neighborhood integrity with either the orange or perhaps the yellow plans.
I appreciate that. You know, looking at those maps, and I do agree with Carrie, it would be helpful if we were able to see them up larger, but it does seem like orange or yellow keeps the neighborhoods together the most and would just divide the town up the best. And I don't have too much of a preference between those two, but I think the orange seems to be the best plan for that purpose, in my opinion.
Okay, so we're ready to close section 6.2 again?
I have one thing to say.
Okay.
You mentioned one concern of where the trustees are, but there are 15 categories in which we have to look at to see where the most equal presentation is. And I agree, this is not a district to do this. And we're being forced to do it. If we were in San Luis Coastal, we would have Morro Bay, we would have Avila, we would have Los Osos, we would have San Luis Obispo with two distinct different sections. We don't have that. And it isn't really based on personality as much as it is based on the 15 categories that each section creates. And that's what you really should be looking at. So rather than worry about which trustee is going to be in what district, I think worry about which students are in these categories and which families are in those categories, what they speak, what their income level is, what their their, whether they even have children. Those are the people that are going to vote, not just what trustee is there. That comes at a different time when you get to vote for a trustee of your choice. Yeah.
I just want to add my little thing here. I just, just looking at where we've been the last 2 election cycles, and I like to see everybody out here. I'm glad you guys are all involved. But when I was elected, I was one of 3 and 4 candidates for 3 spots. And Val and Susan just ran unopposed. So it's going to be, I like the community involvement we have. I'm glad you guys are here. But I also think about being part of something here. So, because if there's going to be people appointed here instead of people running, it's going to make a difference. So, we'll close that area. Liz, you ready? All right. Let's talk about this. Is what we're here for. What are they doing? Associated Student Body.
So Friday, we do have our kindness day. We're wearing pink, red, white. We frankly have a lot of fun colors every day during the week. But some things that are coming up Friday, Friday the 18th, where we have Flag Day. Thank you to Mr. Adrian Hurtado. The White Hat Band will be back this year, so that's fun. The 5th graders have a small performance. Then we have February 22nd, 22, which is Tuesday. And it's where tiaras, ties, tutus, and 2 different tennis shoes. It's also a buddy day for the kids. And at lunchtime, we're going to have some 3-legged races with a friend. So it's all about twos. Our basketball teams, we have boys A and B and girls A and B teams. They continue to play. Today they played Shandon here. Last week they had 3 games. Game tomorrow is postponed. So there's another 3 games next week. So come and join us. Usually they start at 3:45, the girls, and then every hour after that. The end of our 2nd trimester is already coming up at the very beginning of March, which is just crazy. Other things that are going on in campus. We have some fundraising and community outreach. Miss Tomac and her design class completed the children's clothing drive about a week and a half ago, and they're making donations to some local families in need. And right now we have Mrs. Doust and the ASB are working on a project benefiting Heart, the animal rescue group in Cambria. So we have some sites that people can order things from and or donate money for them to purchase whatever they need for the animals. And that's through the end of this month. Kind of a funny thing, the 1st graders are doing a time capsule because as 1st graders, they are in 1st graders and have gone through February 2nd of 22, which is 2/2/22. We got all these 2s. But when they're seniors in high school, they will go through March 3rd, 2033. So 3333. So they're building they're doing some time capsules and putting some things in that they can then have when they're seniors. It'll be kind of fun. We've had some field trips going. 4th grade they're our field trip masters right now. Testing the waters. They went to Cal Poly last week, and they went to a learn by doing lab over there, and also got to see the brand new baby colt that they have, was 5 days old. 3rd grade went down to the beach here, and one of our assistants gave them a lesson on the Chumash Indians. The 5th graders had the water company, stormwater pollution prevention program come to campus and talk about water pollution, et cetera, and how to fix that. And so we don't have our waters polluted here. So there's a lot of things going on campus in the different classes, and I'll try to do different classes each time. And I think I have to do the next one too.
Yep. Parent teacher.
So PTA, they are fabulous. They were handing out money left and right yesterday. But a couple of things they talked about for the community. Oceanfront Pizza is having a fundraiser.
Recording
We'll send out
stopped.
some information. But if you mention Cayucos PTA, they donate 20% of the proceeds to the school. So we have done one already, and I think she said that it was $275 to PTA. So that'll be in about a month or so. We'll let everybody know. They continue with the popcorn spirit days. They're having a little problem with the popcorn popper, but working on that. The kids really like it, as do the seagulls and the various birds that are around. But it is really fun. And they're talking about a PTA conference that some of them would like to go to down south to learn different programs that they can promote as a PTA as well. They are having a clothing exchange April 30th from 10 to 2 here on campus. That's a Saturday. And so you can donate a bag of gently used new clothes that you want to share with somebody else, and you can bring them here. They're going to be on the tables by size, by gender, by types, whether it's shoes or t-shirts or shirts, and you get to swap. So it's basically a clothing swap, which is, I think it's going to be really fun. Mrs. Armstrong is in charge of that. Is she here? Amy? She might want to say. She's not here. Okay. So, but she's in charge of that, and it's kind of a fun, it'll be a fun gig, and the community will be involved, and anybody that wants to come in, grab some clothing, and then they're going to donate whatever is left. So, so the funding they worked on yesterday was our music department for some guitars, some hand drums. They're smaller. Most of you know we used to have the gigantic metal drum. Were awesome.
Recording in progress.
Up to Washington, those were his. So Mrs. Williams found some hand pans that sound almost identical. She said they're just beautiful. So they are helping to purchase some of those. And then some other additional hand drums and percussion instruments that she'd like to get. They also donated money to volleyball game balls, some ball carts at Lock. And of course, the needed pom-poms, because we have a spirit section now, complete with music and pom-poms, not necessarily dressed up cheerleaders, but we do have a cheering section. The kids are having a lot of fun with that. And Miss Pepley brings out her little sound box and plays the music during the middles of games. And it's just really fun. So we need some pom-poms because the other ones we're shedding, and that could be dangerous for the basketball players on the court. And also some soccer goals that will stand up to daily use. So, and we have Zoo to You coming again. We love Zoo to You with the 10-foot snake. It's huge. And we'll see what they get to bring this time. So thank you, PTA. They are a huge supporter of teachers' classrooms, students. We have some field trips, probably big ones as soon as we can get our kids scheduled for them. They want to pay for those and get them out and about a little bit more. So. Oh yeah, I'm next.
Health and safety.
Yeah, that would be too. Nessa couldn't come, so she did type up a little blurb about the health and safety group. The updates, thankfully, I'm just going to read from what she said here. Thankfully, we've mirrored the state and county and are experiencing a steep drop in COVID-19 cases. Cayucos has had 66 cases reported to the school from students and staff, 48 of which have occurred since returning from winter break. The countywide workshop that was scheduled for the middle of March has been canceled, and the safety group would like to do something as a committee in the spring in place of that. It's always a really nice sharing time and with other communities, but it'd be nice to have some kind of a collaboration and have a team building event just for the group. Any staff that might be required to wear N95 masks for their job, they were fit tested today to keep the school in compliance with the Cal OSHA regulations. And we have a lot of N95 and KN95 masks for students and staff that have been provided for voluntary use. We have cupboards full of masks if you need any, or hand sanitizer.
The level of masks and the protection that they offer was discussed with staff at the last all-staff meeting on February 2nd. The state and county mask mandates are going to be lifted next week. Probably heard that on the news. Schools will still require masking until the K-8-12 guidance changes. And it looks like, she sent me a little note. It looks like the mask wearing in schools will be discussed on Monday at the state level, but the county didn't give any date as of yesterday when they would be discussing any change in any mask wearing in the schools. The safety group would like to purchase a shed by our lower gardens here to store some items that are causing some tripping hazards. And they want it placed next to the cafe garden that we have. They'll use district safety match funds with approval from us, and the cost would be about $4,000. And also a wellness committee update. Becky Musoff, who's our new cafe lead person, has taken over the wellness committee, and they had their first meeting of the year on January 19th. And I think that's all I have.
Okay, we had one request to speak on 7.3, which was Susan Tice.
President Schuler and trustees, Cayucos School District is very fortunate to have Nessa Garcia as our school nurse. She's dedicated to the health of the staff and children of the school and has been working diligently during this pandemic to keep everyone safe. Part of her job is to provide information, help the school comply with the law, and offer support and guidance to families to help them meet the public health orders to keep their children safe. I'm sure that has been incredibly difficult and draining when the district's leader seems to be disengaged and is disruptive of her efforts. I would like to thank her for the link she provided parents on Parent Square recently, as we all could use a bit more access to fact-based discussions regarding COVID. This webinar featured 3 highly respected local physicians, including a prominent pediatrician, and questions from the community at large. As this board is so willing, even eager, to hand out pay raises and bonuses, I think Nessa should not be overlooked. She's fighting an uphill battle every day she comes to work. I urge board members themselves to talk with Nessa and see how she can be aided in her job at this very stressful time. Remember, she is now the only person at Cayucos School with a background in health, making her the only qualified individual to make and implement health-based decisions. She should be respected and listened to. Mr. Wright, you'll recognize her as the person you saw leading the yoga class when you visited. Keep up the great work, Nessa.
Okay, we'll move on to section 8, board member reports. I know you just had a new trip, right?
Never joke. That's a bad joke. Sorry. Oh, no. I'm smiling.
I have nothing to report on my end. I'm just logging along, so. Okay. All right, we'll move right on. Superintendent's report, Scott.
Sure. So everyone seems to be so curious. So I just want to answer some of the questions that came up. First off, regarding trustees and their residence. The law is very clear on trustees and the residence. It is where you are registered to vote at an address, period. Yeah, it pretty much is. All right, well, I didn't interrupt you during your times. So that's that. As far as
let them have those report, please.
As far as what's going on with my employment, you know, it's no secret that I bought a retirement home. Everybody knew. Well, you guys may not have, but all the board members knew. I bought a retirement home at the beginning of the school year. Everyone knew I was looking at retirement. So the 2 board presidents got together and thought they might be able to do some employee retention and keep me around a year or 2 more because it saves both districts so much money. That's it. I got an offer. I decided that I'm not taking it here. And Marlene's right about one thing. It would pad my retirement if I took the offer and stayed around a couple more years. But right now it does very little. And it will cost this district approximately $4,500 this year. So, okay. That's the big, huge, giant raise, hundreds of thousands of dollars, supposedly. Not true. As far as my time here, it's been 5.5 years of serving students and parents. Sometimes parents have really loved how I served their students, sometimes not too happy. One time I remember a parent storming my office telling me how I needed to move their son up in reading group. Shouldn't be in that remedial reading group. So I went to the teacher, I met with the teacher, I discussed what was going on, looked at the data, looked at the reading group, looked at the program, re-met with the parents, and told them, no, we just need to encourage your child to work hard in that reading group. They're in the right spot. And they'll be able to graduate out of that reading group and move up. And sure enough, within 2 months, that student graduated out of that reading group and moved up. Those parents have refused to talk to me ever since that day. So unfortunately, occasionally, I have to make decisions that I believe are in the best interest of kids that people don't like. Okay, it comes with the turf. I was warned by multiple people not to take this job because of the Cayucos cancel culture. You know what I mean. So anyway, I would just say that I'm proud of the work that I've done. It hurts my heart a little bit that some of you are so disappointed in me. However, I would like to say that I'm going to be going away with no hard feelings in my heart, and I forgive everyone here for how you've treated me. And may God bless you and God bless your children.
Okay, LCAP update.
Don't have anything else to say right now. Thank you.
Okay, fair enough.
And there's no inter-district transfers.
Okay. I didn't say I either.
Yeah, it's just a public disclosure. We're getting ready to start bargaining with the CTA union, and we'll look forward to that and hopefully be able to make sure that there's a closed contract for whoever's going to be the new superintendent. So there's no rush for them coming in. I'd like to work with the teacher stakeholders and be able to set this district up for a smooth transition. So I'm looking forward to meeting with Sean and his team.
All right, consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Trustee Wright,
Aye.
trustee Schuler,
Aye.
trustee Brownell.
Aye.
Okay. We have any action section? We have any donations to approve or?
No.
No, okay. That moves on to our resolution for 2022. Proposal by the adoption of the new trustee area. You guys ready for that? All right. How do we want to do this? You want to rank them 3, 2, 1? You want to? Let's go. Okay.
Go for one, or you can rest a few, isn't there?
What's ranking going to be?
Well, if you want, he wants yellow, I want green, and you want orange.
Right.
We're not going very far.
Oh.
And we have to have, because we only have three of us, we need all three. We have to have,
Well, I can state what I think. I looked at the categories pretty carefully. And the difficulty I have is with, I'm sorry, my fault.
I looked at the categories really carefully and I didn't see a lot of difference with the exception of where lower income families were within the districts. And so I'm going to support the green plan because of that. I think it gave a little bit more opportunity for those families that have more of a difficulty with income.
I'm going to support the green plan.
okay. I was personally kind of torn between the green and the orange. But in the interest of moving forward, I will support the green and we can have that as a clean sweep.
I did notice you're not against anyone in any of them.
I know.
I just thought that was.
Well, who would want to? So moving forward, we're voting for the green plan at this time. Yep.
So what do we do?
We need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the green plan.
Can we get the microphones on over there?
I'll make a motion to approve the green plan.
I'll second it again.
Trustee Schuler.
Aye.
Trustee Brownell.
Aye.
Trustee Wright.
All right.
So it's the green plan.
Green plan. Okay. The review of the calendar.
Liz worked with the staff to go through calendar, and so this is the proposal that came forward. And so the staff's already looked at it, and it lines up pretty well with San Luis Coastal, except for the spring break. There's a little bit of an issue because San Luis Coastal is really on kind of a strange spring break next year. And so while we tried to align it up for families, that would be, I think, the one issue that people would want pointed out.
Did parents ever get to comment on that?
We talked to several parents.
Okay.
But I mean, technically, we're called to consult with the union, and then it's completely up to the board to adopt a calendar.
So do we make a motion to approve? I'll make a motion to approve the calendar, 20, whatever it is.
22, 23. Yes.
I'll second.
Trustee Brownell.
Aye.
Trustee Wright.
Aye.
Trustee Schuler.
Right. Okay. Okay, the ballot for the CSBA, School Board Association.
Yeah, so there's, I think it's Mark Buckman has been serving on this as the delegate for this area, and he's the only person interested. So I would recommend to the board that you vote to approve him.
I'll make a motion, we approve Mark Buckman.
Trustee Brownell.
Aye.
Trustee Schuler.
Aye.
Trustee Wright.
Aye.
Okay, next one, approval of our current board policies and board bylaws. Any objections to anything on there?
It's all standard CSBA updates for new laws. We didn't make any modifications to them.
Okay, I move that we continue with those board policies.
You do have the opportunity to waive the second reading and approve it tonight, or it has to be brought back.
In the interest, I'd say we bring it back just for the other two.
I'm I'm sorry?
For the other two board members in case they have.
So you just want to do a first reading and bring it back next month?
We'll do a first reading with that and kind of bring it back for everybody.
Okay.
All right. At this time, we're going to adjourn to go into closed session. We will report back out after our next session, but
yeah, there won't be any action.
There won't be any actions taken during that meeting. Okay.